Have you been elegance shamed? The moment gentlemen started noticing the results of your glow that elegance coaching can be a form of sabotage to remove you from the competition by desexualizing you. Remasani, how do you do? This happened to me and many of you. I am a certified image consultant and a couturier and color consultant. I worked for the Parliament of Canada, Cambridge University. I'm a Miss Universe finalist. I'm also a housewife. And so I would know what gentlemen find attractive, right? And I used to be very frumpy and unattractive in French chic. I could not get male attention, and finally that'll be next week's video. I know I promised, and I will deliver. So, today we'll be talking about Arnabe's excellent new video, because as a professional stylist, I'm not a hater, and I do want to give credit where credit is due, and then we'll go and look at how haters sabotage you with elegance and looking natural advice because they want to desexualize you to remove you from competition. We'll start with the video. So Arnabe has a new video out, and it's excellent actually, because it's not like one of those Elegantosaurus videos she normally puts out that tries to desexualize her competition, saying this is not elegant, that is not elegant. Also, she's well dressed in this video. She is wearing a fuchsia silk shirt in her color season. One of my clients actually bought a fuchsia silk coat in her season Kate Middleton style, and she said gentlemen cannot stop asking her out. She's getting so many approaches and compliments. Another one of my clients, her jackpot color that we discovered is lime green, same thing, and she wears it with a cashmere dress that matches, and she says that she cannot get stopped. I mean, she gets so many approaches in the street. Gentlemen keep on approaching her. She gets, last time she got at least 5 approaches, asking her out, complimenting her. So wearing a color in your color season does work. Just ask my clients and even some of the ladies in the comments below from my video last week. Wearing a color that doesn't suit you is not elegant, and yes, is worse than wearing a neutral color that doesn't suit you. Unless you're a woman of color, then it's in the reverse. What I'm doing is wearing an accented neutral. The next excellent thing about that video is that Arnabe doesn't refer to the swan rule, but she uses it. So she says things that prevent you from being elegant, right? And poorly done brows, like that. She says you have to get some references. It's true. Instagram photos can be fake, so, see the clients that they have decent brows done, especially if you're doing something permanent. The next one is excellent. So your teeth should be a natural color and not so white if you're getting veneers that look like it's chewing gum. It reminds me of the next thing she mentions. So in slums in Eastern Europe or in Brazil, lower class ladies love to show off that they're no longer as broke as they used to be by obvious plastic surgery, and in the slums you'll see the women wearing their band-aids proudly and all that. And when a brokey gets plastic surgery in developing countries where it's easily available, she will, get something obvious to show off that finally she could afford something. Now in the same countries, society ladies abhor such a thing, actually in anywhere in the world. Society ladies, when we get anything, I got this done. So we hide, right? And then we pretend we're sick and people say, oh, you look rested, right? So society, ladies, make sure that if we do any work, that it's subtle and not noticeable, and we look like we're rested. However, when a brokey gets surgery, it's so obvious. It's actually not attractive because it's like a cyborg. You know, it's so obvious, right? And that's the violation of the swan rule. You know, swans are elegant and motorboats are not, right? Because the motorboat, you see how it's moving. Whereas the swan rule means if you're doing any enhancements that are not natural, there should be some plausible deniability, right? Because you don't see how the swan glides, unlike the motorboat. You just see that it glides, you don't see the mechanics of it, nor do you think of the mechanics. The moment you think of the mechanics, it stops being elegant. In America, what is not affordable, surprisingly, like plastic surgery, is a badge of luxury. In the third world, it's dentistry, because of their private healthcare, that if you get your teeth cleaned, even it's like, oh, I got my teeth cleaned this morning, I am so posh. You know, in America, it's such a status symbol, when the rest of the world it's just normal. So really shiny teeth, no one cares in the rest of the world, but in America it's a big deal. It's such a status symbol in the United States. So very often brokies in the United States, what they do is they will go and get dentures, you know, they'll go to Turkey and get their teeth capped and fake teeth, and they will be the shiniest white color, you know, and they will look like a bunch of, you know, click-it chewing gum on some dentures. They don't look real, right? And that's not elegant because the teeth, you know, as Anna said, will hit you hard in the face, and you'll be so focused on the unnatural cyborg color of the teeth that you just don't notice the beauty of the person because you're so distracted by the teeth, and that violates the swan rule. That's actually an excellent violation of the swan rule that I didn't think of. She talks about dyeing your hair in a color that looks like it's not natural to you, is not elegant, again, swan rule. And she has a few other good pointers, go watch that video. Back to haters. So when you level up and start to become more attractive, all of a sudden you'll get haters because they're jealous of the attention you get from gentlemen. And they will try to sabotage you by saying, oh, that doesn't look natural, right? If looking natural was really that attractive, why is there a multi-billion-dollar cosmetics industry, right? So what I learned at Miss Universe actually was looking natural was keeping me single. And, you know, to look attractive, you do have to enhance yourself, right? You know, so if they say you have too much makeup, well, that's not enough makeup, because if you really had too much makeup, they'll feel sorry for you, right? And compliment you. And pickup artists, they only nag you when they want to bang you. I used to be ugly, I used to wear French chic, and it wasn't noticed, so that's next week's video. But I was so ugly, no one noticed me, right? And I was just one of the boys. So I didn't receive any nags, right, when I was ugly. They just didn't say anything, you know. How do you know you're ugly? When boys say you have a beautiful personality, you have a nice heart, you're a good person, that's how you know. And ladies will lie, oh, you're so pretty, right? When girls feel sorry for you, they'll say you're pretty. When boys feel sorry for you, they'll say you're a nice person. As I've said earlier, gentlemen rest in their alpha male. So they're not going to expend energy to walk all the way up to an unattractive lady and tell her that she's unattractive. And I had guy friends, and there were some ladies in our circle who were unattractive. In private, when they were not around, I was like, oh my goodness, that girl needs to lose weight, she should stop complaining and start going to the gym, or things of the sort. And I don't judge men for being men, which is why they tell me the truth, unlike most Western women who are, toxic masculinity and so on, and are so judgmental. Everything is a red flag, everything is toxic, so no one tells you anything. If you're less judgmental, people will stop being fake around you and will tell you the truth. So they would tell me the truth, but it didn't benefit them to walk around and cause drama. By telling an ugly girl that she's ugly, what profit would they get out of it? They'd just be quiet. If a gentleman goes up to you and says you wear too much makeup or you should wear some makeup, it's because he wants to bang you and he's using an egg to try to lower your self-esteem by, diminishing your power and saying the opposite is better when he's lying. Female bullies do the same thing. They attack you on your strength and lie to try to lower your self-esteem. Pickup artists try to diminish your sexual value. They know it's high and they try to lower you down so that you would give them free kitty and transact, right? Whereas Elegantosaurus rexes, they try to desexualize you by saying this is not elegant, that is not elegant, so that you're no longer competition for the same gentleman that they want. Tattle, the site of honor-based haters, doubled the views of my prior to previous video, and normally I don't feature haters. However, what they had perfectly illustrates my concept of not getting manipulated by the Elegantosaurus rex, who strive, as Pearl Notes says it, to desexualize their competition. So Pearl Notes perfectly also talked about this in activism very often. Many feminist activist ladies will say, beauty is a patriarchal standard, you don't have to follow it, it's oppressive. I had a roommate like this, right? And my roommate was a feminist and she was sabotaging me. I'll just call her Juliette France. And every day she was saying, I don't have to dress up to get to work. I'm an immigrant. And she wasn't. And she was saying that, I was being oppressed following patriarchal beauty standards. And she would show up in her white privilege in a t-shirt and sweatpants to a job that her uncle got her, right? And that I was actually more qualified than her to get, but I couldn't get it because, she got it through nepotism. And I had to work the ladder up myself. And this is how I learned about all these luxury beliefs and all these games. In order to level up, you must understand all the games that are being played. So I was naive and listened to Juliette France, and then I went to work, and no makeup, no hair, and I was almost fired. I was told, and at that time that job was in sales, and I was told, because I face customers, if I'm sick I should stay home, and if I don't feel well enough to look put together as I normally do, if they see me again dressing that, shabby and unpolished, I should stay home. Oh, Anabe also had a very good point in her video, don't wear chipped nail polish. When I used to work in boutiques, high-end boutiques, they had a rule that they would send you home if you have a run in your pantyhose, so have clear nail polish if you wear them, or if you have a chipped nail. So no chipped nails, no run on your pantyhose, because you don't look put together and look unprofessional. So I was told I looked unprofessional because I didn't do, my hair and makeup. And I was warned basically that I'm hired for my appearance with customers, and if I don't look put together, they'll find another young immigrant lady who does. So that's how I learned what really this white privilege is. It's not really white privilege, it's establishment privilege. So if you got your job via nepotism from your uncle, you can show up in t-shirt and a sweatpants. But if you're an immigrant, even if you're an internal immigrant, even if you're white, but you came from the village to the city, and you know no one, you do have to hustle, you do have to look put together, you do have to dress for success, and you do have to do so many things that people who got their job through nepotism don't have to. And that's how they rub their privilege in. It's these luxury beliefs, right? You'll see people who got their job through nepotism. Today, they show off not via wearing anything designer, because that can be bought by credit, or people can even buy fakes. They show off their privilege by doing things the lower classes cannot. It's called a luxury belief, or a belief that, or doing something that is no cost to people at the top who have a privilege, but it has a high cost to everyone else. So if you are not born in old money, and have to level up yourself, you cannot have the same beliefs as them anymore. So in the West, a lot of women will try to cement their privilege through elegance shaming, which sadly happened to a friend of mine who, her fiancé is old money, and his sister was just rubbing it in because my friend, as an immigrant, of course, she had to show up elegant and put together to work, or she'd be fired. And her sister-in-law was always rubbing it in and always going to these activist rallies, for climate change, the radical ones in Europe, where they were throwing paint on paintings in museums and all sorts of activity where, she wouldn't get arrested because her parents would bail them out, but my friend would get deported if she went. And she was like, oh, you don't care about the environment. I talk about haters and Elegantosaurus Rex manipulators because many of you are here on YouTube looking how to improve yourselves the same way in my 20s, when I was young, I'm in my 40s now, I would go on the internet trying to figure out how to look attractive, and eventually got a stylist who changed my life, which you'll see next week's video. I was so unattractive. Boys did not notice me because I was in French chic, and I would cry myself to sleep at night wondering why, if I'm such a good person, which is what boys call girls are not attracted to, why no one loved me. And girls would gaslight me and say I'm so pretty. I got nothing but praise. But when I told a boy, first of all, boys wouldn't approach me, so when I finally confessed my feelings, I would be told, oh, but I just see you as a friend, It was so painful, and I wondered what was wrong with me. So I kept trying to hack, changing my look, until finally at Montreal Fashion Week I met a stylist, and from there I changed my look to something effective. And next week I'll tell you all about it, and I got into Miss Universe. So it was so exciting, changed my life. I never looked back, and I'm here now. What was horrible though was when I started to level up, all of a sudden I got these attacks from nowhere. People I thought were my friends turned out were only my friends because I wasn't attractive, and started attacking me, and were saying this is not elegant, that is not elegant. So this is why I talk about this. And when I was unattractive, they were all complimenting me. And also boys, right? when I was unattractive, you're such a good person, right? No one bothered to tell me that I was unattractive, right? And then when I suddenly became attractive, yes, I got compliments from gentlemen, but I also got nice nails. Are they real? I got all the negs. Or that I wore too little or too much makeup or this or that. So after you try some tips on YouTube, and then gentlemen start noticing you, and you get your first backlash and your first haters, how do you know what they're saying is honest feedback that you can improve your look by doing this or that? And how do you know it's a form of manipulation if it's by women to try to desexualize you and remove you from competition, or by gentlemen if the manipulation is to nag you to lower your self-esteem for free kitty? Most of the time, saying that you don't look natural, you don't look elegant, is a form of manipulation to desexualize you, to remove you from competition. Because, if you were unattractive, they would notice you. They wouldn't care, they wouldn't bother to give you that energy. So if people are bothering to give you that energy, it's because they're bothered, right? They're bothered because if they're women, they're jealous, and if they're gentlemen, they're bothered because they want to bang you. So most of the time when they say you don't look natural, well, if it was the case that natural women were preferred, there wouldn't be a multi-billion, multi-trillion dollar cosmetic industry. And also in every culture, there's some form of cosmetic enhancement, whether it's Cleopatra's liner or the Greeks and Romans. They all had some kind of a powder. Look at Japanese, Chinese. Almost every culture has some form of enhancement. I saw one in indigenous culture was using fur as a form of hair extensions for beauty. The reality, if natural worked, there wouldn't be enhancements across culture and time around the world, and there wouldn't be billions in a cosmetic industry. Most of the time, if someone says you don't look elegant, you don't look natural, it's to sabotage you, right? But there are times when your friend is well-meaning. How would you know? Don't let haters manipulate you to being a plain, boring old dinosaur fossil that no one notices. Right, wondering why, if I'm such a good person, which is what boys call girls are not attracted to, why no one loved me, and girls would gaslight me and say I'm so pretty. I got nothing but praise. But when I told a boy, first of all, boys wouldn't approach me, so when I finally confessed my feelings, I would be told, oh, but I just see you as a friend. It was so painful, and I wondered what was wrong with me. So I kept trying to hack, changing my look, until finally at Montreal Fashion Week I met a stylist, and from there I changed my look to something effective. And next week I'll tell you all about it, and I got into Miss Universe. So it was so exciting, changed my life. I never looked back, and I'm here now. How do we know our friend is trying to help us look more sophisticated rather than elegance sabotaging us? Well, how do we know our friend is well-meaning? She must have complimented us at least 4 times before, and then she talks to us privately when no one sees us or hears us, and then she says, by the way, Maria, I liked the other outfit you had, but that color is garish, or the eyeshadow doesn't suit you or something of this sort. So I had a friend who always compliments me, and one day I wore something, well, actually for Halloween I had a blonde wig on, and blonde is not my color, but I thought it was funny. It was Halloween, right? And and I was joking, oh, I should wear it again. And then privately, she wrote to me and told me, Maria, you look beautiful. In general, blonde looks garish on you. It's not your color. It doesn't suit you, okay? Okay, for Halloween it was funny, but don't wear that outside of Halloween, okay? I know blonde is not my color, but I thought it was kind of cute in my head, but in reality it was not. How do you know it's fake advice, right? It's the unsolicited advice, for example, right? And it's somebody who has not invested at least minimum 4 compliments in you. Also, if a person corrects you in public, that's sabotage. That's unkind, right? Anyone with basic manners has been taught by their parents praise in public and criticize in private. Also, low IQ women do not understand that there is a big difference between bashing someone versus a critique, like a literary critique or literary criticism as a professional. Plato focused on idealism and that it's not possible to have the perfect form because the perfect circle in the mind cannot be drawn, etc. And he was an idealist, and Aristotle, his student, was a realist, and his critique was all this idealism doesn't matter when you're sick. You want to know what, at that time, what herbs, in the modern time, medicine, would heal you. So, is Aristotle bashing Plato by inventing what would lead to modern science? No. But low IQ women cannot understand the difference between bashing versus a professional critique. How do you know someone is professionally critiquing you versus being jealous and bashing you? If you are a professor and you write a journal article, right? And someone writes a literature review that cites your article and says, well, I agree on this, but not on that. That is literary critique, and if you can't take it, go back to kindergarten. That's part of professionalism. Professional critique separates the person from the problem. Another example is, in the past, I have critiqued my colleagues on YouTube. I'm a YouTuber, they're a YouTuber. And Anna Bay, for example, is a stylist. I'm a stylist. We're both certified. Now, do you understand the difference between a professional critique of a colleague, of another colleague, where you separate the person from the problem? That's very different than someone telling you that you're ugly or crazy or something like this. Or they give you lots of unsolicited advice, picking, right? That sort of... Imagine if brain surgeons operating on your brain would not critique, because that's not proper, but we're into this toxic positivity, right? And someone has been operating on your brain for 24 hours and they're exhausted and they're about to make a mistake. And their colleague has just, started their new shift and spots that. Do you want them to say, excuse me, you're about to make a mistake, stop, right? And then the other surgeon's like, oh my, thank you. And then they continue operating, right? Do you prefer them to critique their colleagues work like when they're operating on your brain like that? Or do you prefer them to say, even though they know they're making a mistake, yes, girl, slay, slay all day, you're unaliving it. Slay, unalive it until you unalive the patient, girl. Whoa, that's hot. Probably not. She's my colleague. I say that she might be a lovely person and she's a very beautiful lady. And at the same time, I might not agree with her marketing tactic in her videos by... I think it's rather predatory to go after young, low self-esteem women and say they're not elegant enough and that they're not enough. I don't think it's necessary to market to vulnerable young ladies in this way. That's not bashing her. It's just, I know that marketing tactic, I choose not to use it, and I do disagree with it. Because I think you can market your product while you're lifting up your clients. Did you know Western women use elegance shaming in order to sabotage their competition and manipulate them being so plain that they no longer get noticed? I got haters from Tattle again, and normally in the past I don't address haters, but today it was so spot on with what I talk about, how elegance can be used as a manipulation and a form of shaming to eliminate the competition, and they illustrated that point perfectly. And I thought that is something some of you have been saying has been happening in your own lives in real life. Some of you have been saying that before your glow up you got a lot of compliments, and then following your glow up you have silence and why are you so dressed up? You know, you got the job already. You passed the job interview, no need to look like that. Or they'll say, oh, whose wedding are you going to? That's when you know they're jealous. When I was in my early 20s and I went from ugly to pretty and had my makeover and transformation, which I'll be talking about next week, I got attacked and I was so shocked. I was so nice to people, and why were they so mean? For me it was so difficult, so I hope this message reaches young ladies who find it really shocking that all the people we thought were our friends were simply using us to be the... Used to be very unattractive, gentlemen would notice me, and I had a lot of female friends who would befriend me, you know, as an autistic young lady. I didn't have that much in common with them, except for the fact that I was ugly and compared to them, you know, some of them would have also this fat friend who, in comparison, they would look beautiful and would get approached. With us at the background, we were called the grenade. So grenade is common parlance for the less attractive girl in the group that needs to be diffused or talked to, so that men have to approach the ugly first to basically to distract the group, and then they can approach the hotties that they actually want. If they approach the hotties directly, they look too thirsty, so they have to hit on the grenade, and then once they lower the guard of the hotties, then they hit on the hotties, and they forget all about you. And happens over and over and over, and I used to be that grenade before my glow up. So gentlemen would diffuse the grenade or talk to us in order to hit on our relatively more attractive friends, right? So then when the overweight lady loses weight, she gets a lot of hate. And when I had my glow up, I got a lot of hate. And then when I had the glow up, I was no longer a grenade, I was a hottie. and they were using me for being a grenade, so all of a sudden my glow up triggered my former friends. I did have some good ones, but I did have a few friends who were friends with me for the wrong reasons. And then they attacked me and I found it shocking. Crabs in a barrel, right? And when one girl improves or climbs up, the other crabs drag her down. And my former friends were triggered by me, right? And some of you might have a similar experience. So there was so much emotion and pathos over the tiniest thing. It was dysregulated. You know, that's how you know that you're being manipulated by a jealous lowlife. And what I learned so when people are trying to elegance shame you, there are two methods. There is peck, right, of unsolicited advice. And there is all this pathos. It's so operatic when they shame you. Oh, how disgusting! I cannot believe that disgusting lipstick. It sounds like an opera and it's hilarious. So much emotion for something so silly, or nail polish, like one of my haters you saw last week was going after. It's hilarious. Or they pretend something is more funny than it is, and there's this exuberance of emotion and drama and pathos enough to fill an entire opera season. And maybe it would be fun to create Haters the Opera. You know that it's manipulation because normally when we walk past people in our day-to-day lives, most people are not elegant or beautiful or anything, right? Most people are plain. And if you see college campuses, it's the hotbeds of vulgarity, right? Being elegant is an exception that makes you stand out, rather being sophisticated, right? If you're sophisticated and yet sensual, beautiful, feminine, you do stand out, right? So every time you walk on the street, are you triggered that people are not elegant? No. You don't care, right? That's a normal reaction. Being very triggered that someone is not elegant is a sign that that person is jealous and triggered that you're better than them, and in their mind, right? So keep doing what you're doing because that person is telling you, with all the emotion they are putting in hating you, that whatever they're doing, it's getting results, and you should double down. You know you're being manipulated when people put too much dysregulated emotion and pathos and drama that's almost operatic on correcting some what they claim to be a flaw of yours, right? That they can practically write an opera. For example, if they don't like your lipstick. For example, what garish, vulgar lipstick! It makes me sick! How disgusting and horrifying! They will overreact to something like your lipstick, like so. that bothered that they put that much feeling into it, lady, double down, because you're doing something right. Because if the lipstick truly were vulgar or the wrong color, you know, they wouldn't care, they wouldn't comment, they would feel sorry for you, and maybe they would say, you know, you're so pretty, or whatever, your eyes are pretty, whatever it is, right? So if you're actually making fashion mistakes, it doesn't bother people. People feel sorry for you and start complimenting you. When people start being bothered and giving unsolicited advice, and they're not a fashion professional, and you're not a fashion professional, you know, they're jealous. If you're two colleagues discussing your different opinions about how you should do your job, you know, no one's triggered, you're just both professionals. However, if someone who it's not their field is sitting there and criticizing you and pecking, or, you know, with so much feeling, this is not genuine, right? Keep on doing it. This reminds me of, you know, when I used to be ugly, and that video will come up next week, how French chic made me single, and my glow up to a Miss Universe finalist. So, anyway, I used to be very ugly, okay? And I know because gentlemen treated me as such, right? And then when I did my glow up, learning what suits me, I stopped being ugly. And, you know, I stopped being the grenade. And then women who were using me to be, you know, the ugly backdrop in which they could look pretty, they started going after me and pecking me, and I just chose new friends in the fashion and pageant world, and I got into Miss Universe, and so I made new friends who were kind to me, and I won Miss Congeniality because it's so easy to be among beautiful women who celebrate each other and are not envious because we're all on the same level up journey. I find more often than not that beautiful women are kind. So back when I was unattractive, well, my parents got me, you know, makeup lessons at the most expensive department store instead of a professional makeup artist. That was one of the problems, right? So I took lessons from Lancome and Chanel in Yemen when they brought people there, right? But, you know, they're not there to be makeup artists, they're there to sell the clothes. So anyway, I had this amateurish smoky eye, Arabic makeup as much as I could for a wedding, and when I was ugly I'd get all these compliments, you know, very beautiful ethnic makeup, right? Looks so beautiful on you, etc., right? And then after my glow up, I took proper lessons with actual makeup artists. That's what I learned going into pageants, that you go to makeup professionals who are there, known for their makeup products, instead of going to a designer known for clothing or something else, right? And then I also took lessons from makeup artists and MAC, okay? So I learned how to work with my face instead of against my face, and I learned what makeup suits me, okay? So, I mean, you see the result, right? I'm wearing what suits me. You'll see in my video next week how I looked, right? So, a terrible Arab smoky eye was simply putting a lipstick on the pig. Because I didn't know what suited me, how to dress and so on. And then, ooh, how beautiful. And then, when I wore this makeup to a reception after my glow up, I got, you look like Cleopatra. I said, I know. Cleopatra is from Egypt, which is an Arab country, and I too am Arab. Congratulations, you know first grade geography. Wow, do you know what I know? 1 + 1 = 2, and London is the capital of England. Wow! You know, she ran because she knew that I knew. And if I was naive, and listened to her catty remarks and dolled down my makeup to the clean girl look, well, it doesn't suit Arab women like myself, right? And smoky eye suits Monica Bellucci and Italian women, and if they wore the clean girl look, nobody would know or care who they are. Have you seen Sophia Loren or Monica Bellucci in the clean girl look? No, because if they wore what doesn't suit them, they would not be beautiful. A lot of this elegance or trying to apply blonde white girl aesthetics to women of a darker complexion is sabotage. The Miss Universe pageant was women who work on themselves and level up, especially as women, not only career-wise, but level up our looks and constantly working to improve ourselves personally, emotionally, romantically, professionally, in all aspects. These women are kind. But women who stagnate are like, what I learned is if a woman develops herself professionally, but not personally, they can be very, jealous and mentally unhinged just because you try to improve your looks. I mean, look at all the women who try to destroy pageants, Victoria's Secret show, and so on. It's envy. And also laziness that they don't want to go that extra mile to improve themselves. So when you do, that's when the jealousy comes. As Grant Cardone's wife, Elaine Cardone, says, jealous ladies attack your strengths and they are triggered by your success. How do we know someone's elegance advice is not genuine and they're trying to manipulate us into being so frumpy that no one notices us, rather than kind advice about being more sophisticated? Well, sophistication, I prefer to use this term because people say this is elegant, that is not elegant, whereas sophistication implies more of a knowledge of rules and sometimes when to break them and when to follow them to make you look better. Shaming is a form of manipulation to try to destroy and demoralize their competition. So, when I was a journalist, I did a parody on some of these elite ladies who were pretending that they were this broke, peasant girl who was victimized by the opposition party, blah, blah, blah. Oh, come on, we know who you are. So, I did a parody with a tiara, and this was the time when it was the most hipster, and it was, the most boring aesthetics were most mainstream, and women were craving some glamour, right, and sparkle. They were so jealous about this stupid toy tiara, and they were over and over and over. They were just focused on how ridiculous that thing looked. They were so triggered. So when I started my fashion line years later, that's what I started with. I realized that's what women want. And I opened with all my models having tiaras, and it was a hit because I could feel that's what women wanted if they were so triggered. Again, my fashion changes now, but that's how you know. I learned if people are triggered, the best thing you can do is double down, act unbothered, ignore them, and keep doing it. If what you were doing was really that bad, people wouldn't care. People have lives, so if they're obsessed by sticking their nose in your business and stop having a life, it's because you're doing something right. They're not, and they would rather hate on you than improve themselves. Many of you have been asking who are new, so what's the connection with tattle like? Why are they hating on you? What went on? So this goes back to the pandemic. So during the pandemic, my Arab wedding business was no more because I was a couturier who designed for Arab weddings, right? So I had to pivot, and part of couture training is being a color consultant and image consultant, because if a client is spending $10,000 on a dress, it better be her color, season, body type, so on, so forth, right? So I thought if I, cut off the service part of making a dress and simply sell the services on their own online during the pandemic, that would probably work better. And then I was marketing my, simply color consultations in different groups. And there's some groups where if you gave a few tips, they would allow you to plug your services of what you do. And I was giving some tips in one of these groups. And at the time, Arnabe was traveling around the world during the pandemic when most of us had to stay home, so we lived vicariously through her travels and, enjoyed watching her travel content when we were stuck at home, right? And therefore, she was a very popular topic in style and fashion groups, and I gave simply my style and relationship advice tips in one group, and some women got so triggered. It had nothing to do with Arnabe. In fact, I was talking about Cardi B, and I was saying exactly what Shira said. However, unlike Shira, I'm size 0, and that triggered some of the overweight women in the group. How dare I have an opinion, right? And, Shira splits the bills 50-50 with her now ex-husband. She's with a cheater, and so on. And I was simply saying that, copying her is not going to get you the results you want. If you want to date a high-value provider who's not a 50-50 man. So Cardi B is with 50-50 men, and she signals to attract them. So if you're copying a pop icon who is in a 50-50 relationship, it's not going to attract provider gentlemen. And this caused so much controversy. I just wrote that, And Tattle wrote with a lot of pathos, in their forum. Tattle is also where the low IQ women congregate, and as a high IQ woman, that also triggers them because in addition to being beautiful, I have a high IQ, okay? Why does that trigger them? And that might also be your case, because female stupidity requires conformity. And this is what I notice there is this rules girls, or low IQ women tend to gossip, and high IQ women are focused on girls, right? So high IQ women don't spend their lives on gossip forums, right? If you spend your life on a gossip forum, it's because you have no goals and have no life, right? You're a loser if you're spending all your time there, right? Because if a tattle lady or lady on a forum, instead of spending on her time saying, putting women down on forums, use this time on self-development, she would have no envy. I do understand Tattle in particular because, unlike other women who are hated on that forum, Arnabe has hurt people. She steals people's content and passes it off as her own. And she's even lifted my content of countless others. Super Jacob talks about it. She used Kristen Kerrison's content for her course and then pretended she didn't know her, So of course, this is a problem. But for them to write an Encyclopedia Britannica series every day since the beginning of the pandemic for 5 years, you must be dumb. To really have no life for 5 years, that's all you're doing. So when you level up, if you're doing it the right way, you'll trigger the animosity of dumb women. How so? Leveling up requires critical thinking in order to get ahead of the herd, right? To get to the next level, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're staying at the same level as everyone else. And this becomes a problem if you want to get ahead. You have to think critically and do something different from the crowd until something works to get you to the next level. So you do have to be different. You do have to stick out. Steve Jobs said, think different. That's how you get to the top, right? And of course, it triggers the stupid people, that you're not following the stupid people rules of their group, and somehow you get the prize. For example, now it's mainstream to be a woke feminist. It's not what feminism was when I was growing up, but today it's all about bashing men, blaming the patriarchy, blaming men for your problems and avoiding responsibility. It's not very sexy. You know, gentlemen go where they're celebrated, and they would prefer a woman who doesn't believe in a man-bashing ideology. I just don't believe in bashing men and dating them. Pick one or the other, right? So, therefore, many feminists are triggered that I am happily married without being part of their ideology, right? Because that's what they were taught at school. I was taught that too. I tried it. It didn't work out for me, so I tried something different. And they're, oh my goodness, she's crazy, she doesn't conform. Well, yeah, that's how I get results. So, Einstein said, insanity is doing something twice and expecting a different result. So, when I didn't get the results I wanted by doing the same thing as the mainstream, as trying to fit in only got me hurt. So I thought, okay, let's experiment, try different things, and see what works. Some things worked for me, some things didn't. And now I'm in my 40s, and I give young ladies the wisdom from all the experiments that I've tried, most of which didn't work, and quite a few succeeded, and I stuck with what succeeded, and I share my wisdom today. Dumb ladies believe that there's a certain rules in their herd or their group, right? They're like sheep. And if someone who is not like their sheep herd is getting the prize they want and they've been following these rules, they would rather attack that person than level up. Tattle ladies show that they're broke and stupid by going after my autism and after English being my fourth language. Hello, right? If they went to an international school like I did, if they traveled, if they had well-to-do parents that would help them travel, other things elite do to broaden horizon is they will pay to have a foreign exchange student in their school, etc. to have. Tattle ladies show that Ellen Cardone said, haters attack your strength. So Tattle has been attacking my accent in my fourth language, right? But if I speak like this, or if I speak like this all the time, then you have trouble understanding me, and you don't believe what I say. So I have to take elocution lessons, yes, so you understand what I try to say. So you see the manipulation, right? Before I took elocution lessons, I had a bit of a thick immigrant accent that was a combination of Arabic and Russian that was a bit difficult to understand. To speak more clearly, at the time, the two options I had as a Canadian were American English and British English. So British is a bit closer to Ontario, so I chose British. I would have loved elocution lessons in an Ontario English accent, but at the time they were not available. I hear them now, but it's too late. To broaden horizon is they will pay to have a foreign exchange student in their school, etc. to have exposure. I know the term is much parodied, but cultural enrichment. then if they are, the young people are enriched and see different cultures, different brain types, different perspectives, you are much more competitive globally in the business arena, because when you're doing international business, you're dealing with a lot of people who are different from you. Only dumb people who are an employee who work in a very limited, let's say at McDonald's, and all you see is McDonald's people, well then yes, you can laugh at other people for not conforming. But if you run a multi-million-dollar corporation, or your husband does, and he comes home from work and you're there being his sounding board, well, you have to know how to deal with a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different social statuses, from different countries, different brain types, and so on. A Dombroki's, ha ha ha, you're different, right? But an elite person will say, oh, that's fascinating. For example, oh, you're rather eccentric. Do you like Oscar Wilde? How interesting. So you have a very unique, refreshing perspective, is what I heard all the time, right? And yes, I do. I'm on the spectrum, and very often I get, oh, so am I. Well, I'm on this other spectrum, or I have this and that. And you find very fascinating people, and we would exchange books and literature. So, elite actually talk about the books they're reading rather than the clothes they're wearing. But it's important to discuss clothes, because clothes open the door. I became a stylist when clothing changed my life, when I learned any woman could be beautiful if she changed her look and learned to dress effectively to achieve her goals. It changed my life, so now I'm helping change the lives of others and opening doors for them. Some of my clients have married multimillionaires. Some of my clients have since received major promotions at work and really improved their career, because what I do is find out what is your goal, and I dress you not to be fashionable, not to be the latest trend, not to fit in whatever. If you want to fit in, go to a Taylor Swift concert. I'm not the lady for you. I find out what is your goal, and then I use clothes and also other tactics to help you achieve your goal. So I may introduce you to other coaches to help you achieve that goal, because I help you dress for success. I don't teach you to conform, that, oh, it's pumpkin spice season, bring your Stanley Cup, and you should wear orange. None of this rubbish. I teach you to reach your goal with clothes. That's all. And with some girls, you may have to dress more unorthodox to achieve it than others. You saw last week with the nail aria how they're trying to manipulate me, right? Because, these nails apparently are so ghastly. Look at these shameless, hussy nails. Very shameless, right? So they're very triggering. Ooh, yeah. So this is a dip manicure, and my nails are shameless because that's the way my husband likes them. My husband pays for my manicures, and this is what he likes. They are manipulating with the pathos and the drama. I'll play it again for you.
This is not the last. Not last, but precious. You did your nails with a hatchet. What's more graphic feels like crying? I'm dying.
My goal is to help you to stop being bullied by those Elegantosaurus rexes who try to bully you with elegance shaming until they desexualize you into a dinosaur fossil to remove you from the competition. My goal is to give you the tools to become sophisticated so you cannot be manipulated out of being good looking. As a married Miss Universe finalist, I would know. How do we know if your nails are elegant? Well, this is by following the Swan rule and the rule of spotlighting. Sophistication comes from knowing what the rules are, when to follow, and when to break. When you understand the rules, you can go and have fun and enjoy your life. How do you know that my nails are an elegant length? Through the Swan rule. Do you wonder if these nails can open this can? No, you don't. They're normal length. So how do we know your nails are inelegant? Right? First, we wonder, can they open this can? Second, with the rule of spotlighting, gentlemen will notice your crazy manicure before they notice if you're married or not. Then they're not elegant. Third, with, again, the rule of spotlighting is that elite ladies tend to have fun jewelry that they want noticed. But broke ladies cannot afford nice jewelry, so their nails are their jewelry because that's the most expensive thing they can afford. Do my nails let my ring do the talking? You know, this is kind of boring. I understand why broke women would have long nails and bedazzle them. See, if you understand why style rules are there, you no longer have to be manipulated by Elegantosaurus rex bullies who want to desexualize you to remove you from the competition. At the same time, yes, there is such a thing as vulgar. And that's usually someone who's trying too hard to get attention. Or someone who comes across as too sexually available and too cheap. So a friend of mine was in Monaco and said she saw ladies were so desperate for male attention. They were wearing the shortest skirts, all their body hanging out, and they were treated terribly, whereas the ladies who dressed more modestly were treated much better. It's unfortunate, but that's how the world works. If you dress like your body is a Birkin and not a Walmart bag, they will treat it like a Birkin. But if you hand out your body like free plastic bags at Walmart, it will be treated like a plastic bag at a grocery store that's given for free. Ladies, be the Birkin. If you hand out your body for free like it's confetti, what happens to confetti? It ends up on the floor and walked all over. So do dress like your body has value, like your body costs more than your expensive handbag. Then you will be treated with much more kindness and respect. I am sorry that the world is like this, but I'd rather, as a Stoic, accept the world as it is and work with it, as problematic as it may be, than live in delusion and hurt myself. Yes, gentlemen should treat all women with respect, but we don't live in Disney, and they're criminals, they're bad people. Why would you want to hurt yourself and make your life more difficult? So don't dress to signal that you are free, cheap and easy and give free kitty cat. Don't do that. But don't desexualize yourself into a frumpy old grandma either. So, for example, I'm wearing the fashion rule of accented neutral, and I'm also following the rule of colored seasons, wearing one of my best colors, which is turquoise. It's my jackpot color actually. And I have accents that match on an oatmeal cashmere dress. While there are Elegantosaurus rexes who try to desexualize you, there are also some miserable young women who try to oversexualize you to remove you from the competition. One of my clients is a university student whose parents bought her a consultation. So she asked me what should she wear, and I asked her, what are your goals? And she said her goal is to get married. So I said, and what age do ladies get married? 30, so that's how you should dress. And she said she wants a successful career. I said 30 is an excellent age for that too. So that is how we dressed for her specific goals. I was asked, what age should a university student dress? Well, whether you're 18 or 118, the best age to dress is 30, right? Because in the West, that's the age when men propose and ladies get married. So, one of my clients is a university student, and her family got her lovely gift, consultation with me. And I told her, you shouldn't dress like girls your age, because what would that get you? What's your goal? And she said her goal is to eventually get married and get a good job when she graduates. So I said, how many boys your age are capable of marrying? Or what are they doing? Partying? She said they're partying. I said, okay. What age do ladies get married at? 30, right? So that's the age at which you should dress. If you dress like your peers to fit in, you'll be treated like your peers, or rather mistreated like your peers. Do you want to be treated like girls your age, pumped and dumped by boys who are just having fun? Who fake relationships to get laid? And she said no. I also said you shouldn't judge college boys for spreading their seed. They don't have the money to raise a family. Therefore, evolution dictates until a gentleman has the money to care for a family, his mentality is to party, spray and pray, and spread his seed. So, university boys will only break your heart. You should dress for the job you want to have. So I asked her, what? You don't want to graduate university and then go on welfare, right? Hoping someone proposes. So we looked at what do people successful in her career dress like, and also we looked at what type of a wife she wants. She wants to be provided and wants a successful gentleman. Okay, so how do trophy wives dress? And how do women successful in the profession she studied dress? We combined it. And we also combined her personality and so on, and we created a personal style for her. After her makeover, her best male friends since childhood were praising her intelligence. And they said, you're the sort of a person who does not do nonsense, and you dress to demand respect. That's why everyone respects you. Another said, you dress to show you are not easily manipulated and not to be messed with. You're pleasant, beautiful, and demand respect. And that's excellent. They are like brothers to her, and they're in the player stage of life. So they commended her are not falling for the antics of the girls they pump and dump, and said that's excellent that she's waiting for someone who's serious to have a family. To dress as a college girl to be respected by your male peers may often mean not dressing to fit in. And in fact, my client got quite a few catty, envious remarks by girls who, instead of trying to desexualize her, trying to over-sexualize her to the point she's no longer competition for a husband because she's seen as a strumpet. So they said, "Ugh, you look weird, you look so old." The girls were picky, right? But boys, who were her close friends since childhood, she talked to them and they said they are jealous, and they were complimenting her, and they were telling her she's smart, unlike those girls that they knew were just manipulated into giving free kitty cat and pumped and dumped by boys who were faking relationships to get laid. Misery loves company. In fact, it demands it. If your female peers are half naked and you're modest enough to be treated with respect, but feminine enough to be seen as sexy, you will get the same hate as though your friends dress like nuns and gentlemen are paying attention to you because you have a pop of color. Pickup artists will try to manipulate you into giving free kitty by saying the opposite of what you are is what they find more attractive, that you're too modest and you should dress sexier and over-sexualize you, or that you're too sexy and try to desexualize you. If a person is talking to you about how you look, your look is effective. How do you know you're ugly or plain? People don't notice you. Jealous female rivals will try to desexualize you to remove you from competition, or over-sexualize you to remove you from marriage-minded competition. How do you protect yourself from female and male manipulators? That's by learning the rules of sophistication, which I teach on this channel. Knowing when to follow or break the rules, and a great investment is hiring a stylist like myself. I teach my clients how to be independent of me actually, and learn more in what suits them. Next week, you'll see my transformation of an ugly Elegantosaurus Rex, French chic girl who cried herself to sleep because all the boys I liked kept friend-zoning me, to a Miss Universe finalist. You'll see my makeover and the lessons I learned. For example, the natural look is not effective. That being too elegant can keep you single. There are lessons I learned that male taste is more forgiving, and what gentlemen define as vulgar is much more narrow than ladies can call everything vulgar just to remove their competition. I learned interesting lessons like what gentlemen are attracted to isn't natural elegance, but sophisticated glamour, a lot of which is not natural, but is plausible. For more, you have to follow next week. Do write in the comments what you found the most interesting. It does help me quite a bit, and I do enjoy reading and responding to your comments. Also, please hit like or hate and subscribe, share, especially on a hate forum. I get so many more views if you share on a hate forum and pretend to hate me. That's absolutely amazing support. and thank you for those of you who are doing this for me. Like or hate, and subscribe and comment below. Ciao!